hold on to your hats because it's going to be a bumpy ride from this Aries full moon on into eclipse season. Trying a little different setup for the audio and video today. Please excuse the tattered state of my microphone as it is my kitten's favorite chew toy. Hello and welcome to your Aries full moon 2023 tarot forecast. And if you're new here, my name is Shea Walker. I'm an intuitive coach and oracle deck creator and a Reiki healer and teacher, and I like to do these readings at the new and full moon every month. Every new and full moon reading includes a general collective reading with an assortment of cards for anyone that stumbles upon this video, and honestly, they're a timeless video. So if you find it after the Aries full moon, please continue to watch because you were meant to be here. And then there's always an extended reading over on my Patreon, which is more than just a support channel. It is a community of intuitive development. So if that sounds like something that interests you, you might want to check the extended link below and get all the other goodies that you'll find over there. But we start every reading with a card pull from the deck that I created. It is now available in limited quantities for the first edition over on my website and exclusively available to pre-order for the second edition. So michelleshayWalker.com/shop is the place to find both of those. We are using the second edition for this reading, and I don't know why I'm still shuffling because as I was talking earlier, our card fell out. They're all 90s icons playing the goddesses, and I always pull it at the beginning of these readings to kind of get the general vibe of the upcoming moon. So for this Aries new moon, we have Eos and Celine, played by Romy and Michelle of Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. So this is an interesting card to have for the Aries full moon because Aries is a very solo sign. They're very self-driven in the best and the worst of ways, but they are very good at focusing in on their goals, their intention, and driving action forward. However, they might be sometimes challenged by having to cooperate in a group setting. So we're kind of splitting the difference with our goddess card because it's not a big group that we're cooperating with Eos and Celine, but it is a reminder to work well with others and learn to be able to recognize that you have strengths that other people might not have, and vice versa. They have strengths that you don't have. So rather than being in competition or conflict or trying to be better than someone else, you might want to recruit them to help you because they are better at some things than you are, and you can help them because you are better at some things than they are. So that is the first message coming out for this full moon, and I want to elaborate a little bit more on that because I do feel like Aries energy can sometimes be a little reactive. So the message that I'm getting from this card is in your closest relationships, be it close family members, romantic relationships, or close friends, there might be a tendency underneath this full moon to get a little reactive to those around you, especially if you're feeling underappreciated, or they might get reactive with you if they are feeling underappreciated. So the first thing that I have to say is just appreciate those around you and let people know that you are grateful for them because that is going to head some of this off at the pass. The next piece of advice that I have is don't be afraid to reach out for help. You do not have to do it all on your own, and sometimes you are not the best person for the job. So let go of the ego a little bit. Recognize the talent in others and know that that in and of itself is a skill to recognize the abilities and the capacity to do good in other people. And utilize that to your advantage by recruiting others to help you out with a project, an idea, or a goal of some kind. With that in mind, we are going to move into our elemental reading. So we're going to pull an energy and advice card from the Modern Witch Tarot for earth, air, fire, and water. And then if those resonate for you, we'll be diving deeper into the topics discussed in the elemental readings over on the Patreon. Again, you can find the link for that below. P.S. We also have a full moon group therapy session happening this Sunday. Happens the Sunday after every full moon at 4 p.m. Central Time via Zoom. And it is essentially my offering of an open forum Q&A. So if you show up on the Zoom, if you purchase a ticket, or if you become a Patreon member at the level that gets access to it, then you can show up and ask literally any questions that you want that we have time for during the hour. The first card has fallen out of the deck. So I should mention that we're going to start with our fire signs because I always start with the element of the sign that the moon is in. And because Aries is a fire sign, this is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, your energy card for this Aries full moon is the Chariot. And your advice card is Death. First of all, let's put a pin in death. If you're freaking out over that, don't. We'll talk about that in just a second. But I want to point out that these are both major arcana cards. So fire signs, you are having a bit of fate at play and what's happening to you, for you, and around you for this Aries full moon and for the weeks that follow. So the first thing I have to tell you is with your advice card being the Chariot, that means that you are in a place where you are driving the action forward, which is great because I think fire signs like being in the driver's seat. They like being the ones that are diving into the action. So you are the one in charge. So even though there's a bit of fate at play and the universe is directing your path in a certain direction, you are still the one taking the action and propelling things forward. So if you don't act, nothing happens, nothing moves forward. So make sure that you're taking some sort of action towards your goals underneath this full moon. The death card in your advice is always more about rebirth than it is about death. Yes, it does mean that you are closing out a chapter underneath this Aries full moon, which is the perfect time for it because full moons are a time to release things that aren't serving you. But more importantly, you are getting ready to begin a new chapter. You are being reborn into a new version of yourself because you have spiritually grown over the past 6 months. So the advice that I have for you based on these cards is to really listen to your intuition, to think about where it is that you want to be in your life by Aries season next year. So when the sun moves into Aries, what do you want to see come to fruition into this new chapter of your life? Because you are being reborn. So how do you want to dress up this new life? What direction do you want to point your chariot in order to get yourself to your goals in time for the sun in Aries? I'm making an impulse decision to pull goddess cards for each of our elements right here in this moment because I want a little more information here. So cooperating with others under Eos and Selene is still part of your reading fire signs. But you also have the card Kali, played by 90s Jenny McCarthy. And she is the destroyer of myths. She is also, like the death card, about rebirth. So if you want to think of the phoenix rising from the ashes, that is what's happening here. You are burning something down so that you can be reborn as something more mythical, magical, and powerful. Kali also is here to remind you that you are in charge of your own story. So if you are not telling a story that is empowering you to be where you want to be come Sun and Aries season in 6 months, you need to change that story. You're in charge. You're in the driver's seat. That's what the chariot is telling you. So make sure that you are talking yourself up in a way that feels in alignment with your goals because the momentum can go really quickly with chariot energy. And if you are telling the wrong story or if you're speaking badly of yourself or your future, the universe is going to think that that's what you want. And that's the direction that your chariot is going to turn in. So make sure that your GPS directions are clear in this case. Really know a step-by-step plan to get yourself from where you are to where you want to be within 6 months or less. Moving forward into our water signs, I'm going to start with a total Betty Goddess pull for you as well. So we're going to move into the card that just fell out of the deck. Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I'm going to grab your card. So water signs, your card is Hathor, played by Brandy as Moesha. And this is a great card for Cancerian energy in particular because it is a homemaker type energy. It is making sure that your home is harmonious and in alignment with who you're trying to be. So if you are trying to get your life in order, but your home is in complete chaos, this is a good moon to purge things that you no longer need, to clean up any messes that you don't want around in your life, and to set up systems and organizations that help you keep yourself organized moving forward. Likewise, this is often a card of using music to realign the energy. So if you don't know about energy cleansing practices, music, bells, chimes, or even just playing your favorite songs is a really great way to align the energy of a space to the energy that you're trying to manifest. So if there's a lyric or just a certain genre of song that makes you feel the way that you want to feel in your ideal life, this is a good time to start playing that around your home so that your home energy starts to absorb that energy and you in turn start to absorb that energy from your environment and can further embody the energy that you want to put out into the world. So with that in mind, we're going to move into our Modern Witch Tarot. We're going to do an energy and advice pull. So we've already got our first card falling out. Your energy is the Magician. Love that for you, water signs. And your advice is the Fool. This is the second elemental reading that has been all major arcana. So I cannot stress enough that this feels like a really big moon. There's a lot of energy behind the decisions that we make underneath this Aries full moon. And for you water signs, the magician is telling you that you have everything that you need. The magician contains all elements within the card. They have the pentacles, which is money and home. They have the swords, which is intellect and communication. They have the cups, which is love and creativity. And they have the wands, which is passion and spirituality. And with that, you have an advice card of the Fool, which indicates that you are beginning a new journey. This is kind of similar, but a lighter energy to what the fire signs got in their reading. So if you have both of those within the sun, moon, rising, or Venus elements of your chart, those two energies are echoing each other with just slightly different vibrations. So with the magician here, you're really being asked to stop playing small, to stop doubting your talents and skills, and instead embrace the fact that you have what you need. And even though you may feel like the Fool just starting out on your journey and not really knowing where you're headed, you actually have within you everything that you're going to need. So think of this as almost like your Mary Poppins bag on this journey through life. And as you go into the great unknown as the Fool card, not quite sure what the future may bring, trust that your Mary Poppins bag has everything that you're going to end up needing. And it has it before you even know that you need it. So your only job, water signs, underneath this Aries full moon is to get clear on what you want to feel, because that is going to not only direct your path, it's going to manifest the future that you need. And sometimes when we get really clear on what we want to feel, the universe knows better than us what's going to help us feel that way. So while it's great to get clear on your actual manifestations of what kind of job, relationship, or material items you're trying to call into your life, you want to hold those a little looser than the way that you think these things are going to make you feel. Because if you tap into the feeling of what you're trying to manifest, the universe might see something better suited for you and send it your way, and you'll get something even better than you could have imagined. So stay open in the physical form of what you're calling in, but stay deeply connected to how it's going to make you feel. And the more you cultivate that feeling in your everyday life, as if you had that magic bag with everything you needed already, the more you're going to draw that energy to you, and those things can magically pop out and into existence. If you want to know more on this topic, water signs, head to the link below for the Patreon extended. And then we're moving into our earth signs. So earth signs will start with a Total Betty card for you. So in addition to Eos and Selene directing your path, we also have, forgive the pronunciation if it's wrong, Ibeji, which is a twin goddess played by who else but the twins of sister, Tia and Tamara. And this is a sign that there is a twin soul of some sort that is coming into your life. So pause for a second, because when you say the word twin in New Age circles and tarot card readings, people get real excited for twin flames. And if you don't know what a twin flame is, that's totally fine. You don't have to know what a twin flames is. But if you're super attached to the idea of twin flames, I want you to loosen your grip on that concept. First of all, because I have lots of feelings around that, and we'll talk about that in another video. But second of all, I want you to think of a twin soul not as just this be-all, end-all romantic partnership, but that your twin souls can be pets and family members and friends as well. So it's not so much that you're calling in a romantic partner, though it could be. You're calling in a soul that feels like it is a mirror back to you. Now, there are two things that happen with this. One, you do get a great companionship, but also you get to see things in this other person that you may not have noticed that you don't like about yourself. So if you are either encountering someone that you already know that feels like a twin soul, or meeting someone new that feels like a twin soul, hold loosely to the idea that they're not supposed to trigger you or make you feel any way other than happy and blissful. Because sometimes the feelings that are less than pleasant that we get from others are trying to show us something about what we're healing within ourselves. So that might be something that's coming up for you underneath this full moon. And then we'll dive into our Modern Witch Tarot to find an energy and advice, which just fell out of the deck, on how to deal with that. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Your energy is Seven of Wands, and your advice is the Eight of Pentacles. So there are a couple things that I want to say about this combination. First, just straightforward interpretation. The Seven of Wands as your energy indicates that you are going to be maybe a little more visible in your role, and you're going to be feeling like you need to kind of fight for your spot in the world, like almost like you've climbed yourself to the top of a ladder, but now people are trying to like pull you back down. And this honestly might be something that you're encountering with your twin soul that's coming into play. There might be a little bit of competition within this relationship, and it might feel a little off sometimes to have that vibe, but recognize that it's bringing up within you something that you're trying to heal around comparison and competition, and also judging others, because when you judge others, you're secretly judging a portion of yourself. With that in mind, your advice is the Eight of Pentacles, which is to throw yourself into developing your skills rather than comparing yourself to those around you. The Eight of Pentacles is about becoming an apprentice in your passions. It's about letting go of what the outside world is doing and tapping into what your intuition and your inner voice is telling you to do. So even if you're not a creative person, this is kind of the energy of just like holding yourself up in a room and drawing or painting or writing for days on end without checking in with the outside world, and recognizing that you can create something completely void of what the outside world might think, and it's probably going to be your best, most authentic work. With that in mind, in reference to our twin souls and our needing to not judge or compare ourselves to others, I think you're being called underneath this Aries new moon to let go of the idea of competition, to recognize what's being mirrored back to you from the outside world when you feel like you need to compete to someone, and also to take breaks from the outside world in general so that you can remember who you truly are as an artist, as a worker, as a human being, and then come back out into the world refreshed and reframed in your own energy. If you're an empath and you find that you have trouble staying in your own energy and not getting caught up in the emotions and feelings of other people, I do have a training that's Become Your Own Healer. It happens every 4 weeks, and I teach an energy protection method to try and help protect yourself from picking up on the energy of the world around you. So that's something that you might keep in mind if you're looking to learn extra stuff in the development of your skills for this Eight of Pentacles. But if you want more from this particular reading, you can head over to the Patreon. Again, the link is below. So last but not least, we have our air signs. So air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. We're going to pull you a Total Betty Goddess card, and we got one that just jumped out. So your goddess is Gunlod, played by Janet Jackson in Poetic Justice. She is a sign that you need to find beauty and poetry in the world around you. Now, if you're not an artistic person or a poetic person, that's okay. This isn't necessarily about creating literal poetry, though it could be if that's your jam. It could be more about recognizing the poetic beauty of everyday life. So if you think about reading some of the great poets throughout history, they're usually not describing the biggest, grandest moments of life. They're describing a forest or a flower or a path in the woods. And that's because the poetic license that you get from this card is allowing you to find absolute ecstatic beauty in the mundane. Now, one of the practices that I like to couple with this card, especially if you don't think you're poetic and this isn't about creating something, is to have a gratitude practice over the tiniest microscopic details of your day. Now, anytime you're working on a gratitude practice, it is really key to tap into the tiny details, the little things in your life that are constantly there, that are always making you feel grateful, and the reasons why they make you feel grateful, down to the microscopic detail. Because this gets you steeped in the energy of gratitude that is not necessarily connected to circumstantial evidence. So if you are grateful for the single blade of grass on your walk, you'll find many more of those the more you keep walking. Whereas if you're grateful only for the grand moments in life, those can sometimes be few and far between. So you can have these periods of drought where you don't know what to feel grateful for. And we never want to run out of that feeling of gratitude. So again, find beauty in the mundane. Be grateful for the everyday things in your life, and that is going to blossom into a beautiful energy of just living your life in this poetic state. With that in mind, we're going to dive into your Modern Witch Tarot cards. So for the Modern Witch Tarot, we're going to pull you an energy and advice before we dive into the collective reading. I have a couple cards that fell out, but a little too many, so I'm going to keep shuffling. And we're going to go until I have less. There's a lot of stuff that wants to talk for you, air signs, but 2 singular cards fell on the floor, so we're going to go with that for your reading. So air signs, your energy underneath this full moon is Temperance, and your advice is the 2 of Wands. So this is about balance and choices. So I think that part of the reason you're being called to find the poetry in your everyday life and to find beauty in everything around you and be grateful for the world around you is because you're being trained to tap into what feeling good feels like to you. Because according to the Temperance card, you're balancing out and creating alchemy with the opposites around you, which is beautiful. But the advice is the 2 of Wands. So the 2 of Wands is usually trying to choose between 2 paths or 2 projects that you feel equally passionate about. They're both wands. They both feel really good. They both light you up spiritually. But there's always going to be one that's just a little taller than the other, that just has a little more legs, that's a little readier for you. And the only way that you're going to really be able to feel what that is to know how to tap into the yes and no feelings in your intuition. So with this gratitude practice, you're practicing every day feeling grateful for the things that you think are good, that you love, that feel good to your soul. You're cultivating what that feeling of good or yes feels like in your body. And when you get faced with this 2 of Wands choice, you're going to have to take a moment of stillness, or maybe a couple days of stillness, to contemplate what feels like a yes. And you're going to know it based on what feels like that gratitude list. Now, that doesn't mean that the second choice that doesn't quite feel like a yes is going to go away forever. Sometimes this exercise is just helping us tap into what is ready right now for us to work on, and the other thing will come back around later. So don't think of it as an all or nothing choice. Think of it as what is right for me right this moment. And then go with what feels like your gratitude list. Go with what feels like a yes. I hope that served you well. If you want more from this reading, you can join at the Patreon at the link below. Or if you want to ask an individualized question, you can join us in the group therapy session this Sunday, which will also be in the link below. And if you're watching this on Patreon already, the rest of the reading starts right now.